Let go. Y'all already know what time it is with this one. I'm on one tonight. Let me know what y'all think. Leave a note in the chat. We up. When you about to get into what we about to get into, you gotta be on another frequency. We on another zone with this one. Let me know where y'all checking in from. Dragon Canoe in the building. We gonna let it ride out. Let some more people get in here. Do what we do best. Staying in check. Searching for the Melchizedek. Dragon Canoe in the building. What's going on, family, and welcome back to the channel. Dragon Canoe checking in again. You know how we do it. We're just wave surfing, staying in check, searching for the Melchizedek. We're steadily rowing and we're constantly flowing. So wait till you get a load of this. Again, guys, I can't make this up. Let me know what y'all think. Leave a note in the comments. I mean, I'm trying my best to articulate these ideas with these videos and my words. But sometimes, man, it's hard. Shit's crazy out here. So, I mean, y'all be my witness. Let me know if I'm tripping, what's going on, man, because I'm not above correction. But I'm going to use what I need to use to articulate my ideas. And I appreciate y'all rocking with me. So, without further ado, let's get into it. I'm going to build a case, exhibit at a time. We're talking star forts, we're talking languages, and we're talking ancient trees. It gets deep, man. But here we are, doing what we do best, staying in check, searching for the Melchizedek. We're talking royalty in this one. You gotta have the trumpets, hustler type shit. You feel me? We're talking Khan Saliman. Can't take this lightly. Let me know what y'all think. We turning up for this one.
Chapter 22. Then David said, "This is the house of the Lord God, and this is the altar of the burnt offering for Israel." And David commanded to gather together the strangers that were in the land of Israel, and he set masons to hew wrought stones to build the house of God. And David prepared iron in abundance for the nails, for the doors of the gates, and for the joinings, and brass in abundance without weight. Also cedar trees in abundance, for the Zidonians and they of Tyre brought much cedar wood to David. And David said, "Solomon my son is young and tender, and the house that is to be builded for the Lord must be exceeding magnifical, of fame and of glory throughout all countries. I will therefore now make preparation for it." So David prepared abundantly before his death. Then he called for Solomon his son, and charged him to build an house for the Lord God of Israel. And David said to Solomon, "My son, as for me, it was in my mind to build an house unto the name of the Lord my God. But the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Thou hast shed blood abundantly, and hast made great wars. Thou shalt not build an house unto my name, because thou hast shed much blood upon the earth in my sight."
Let's look at some of these. These are just some images, but I'm going to actually share with you now the project that I've spent some time working on. We're going to check out star forts worldwide. The link to this will be in the description, so you can check out this aggregate of star forts that I have pinned on Google Earth, and I'm missing tons. I mean, God knows how many I'm missing. But what you will see is that these structures, this is not a game. This is not light work. The Wikipedia, the official narrative, says they were built between 1600s to 1800s. So every single one of these, and there are 300, over 300 on this list, every single one of these was built in that time period. Okay? By whoever. We have all corners of the globe. even Hawaii, Japan. Okay. So let's look at what some of these look like, right?
Behold, a son shall be born to thee, who shall be a man of rest, and I will give him rest from all his enemies round about. For his name shall be Solomon, and I will give peace and quietness unto Israel in his days. He shall build an house for my name, and he shall be my son, and I will be his father, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom over Israel forever. Now, my son, the Lord be with thee, and prosper thou, and build the house of the Lord thy God as he hath said of thee. Only the Lord give thee wisdom and understanding, and give thee charge concerning Israel, that thou mayest keep the law of the Lord thy God. Then shalt thou prosper, if thou takest heed to fulfill the statutes and judgments which the Lord charged Moses with concerning Israel. Be strong and of good courage. Dread not, nor be dismayed.
I'm just noting this now. A lot of these star forts are near places of air travel. Okay. Perhaps that's indicative of their former use. Let's go to some of my favorites. All right. Let's go over here. Europe is riddled with them. So again, if Europe was ruled by people that we weren't told about or know little about, could they have been the ones behind constructing these? Could they have had some other purpose? Let's go to the Netherlands, okay? I love this one. Naarden. Look at that. A whole village. How is this constructed? How is the earth moved? These are the basic questions. Like, we don't have to get too deep. We don't have to ask, like, how were the pyramids built? No, this is recent history. How was this done when it was said to have been done? In the amount that it was done. This is precision engineering. We could not do this today. You know how long it would take to do this today, anywhere in the world? That'd be some huge project. But with shovels, they could do this all over the place.
Chapter 3. And Solomon made affinity with Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and took Pharaoh's daughter, and brought her into the city of David, until he had made an end of building his own house, and the house of the Lord, and the wall of Jerusalem round about. Only the people sacrificed in high places, because there was no house built unto the name of the Lord until those days. And Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of David his father. Only he sacrificed and burnt incense in high places. And the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was the great high place. 1,000 burnt offerings did Solomon offer upon that altar. In Gibeon the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night. And God said, Ask what I shall give thee. And Solomon said, Thou hast showed unto thy servant David my father great mercy, according as he walked before thee in truth and in righteousness and in uprightness of heart with thee. And thou hast kept for him this great kindness, that thou hast given him a son to sit on his throne, as it is this day.
Oh, this is look on this tiny island. I remember this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and an airport, like I said. So let's look at some of these, okay? Remnants, ruins, but it's there. Same thing. This, whatever aisle this is, look at that. Where are we right now? Alderney, okay. Well, Alderney must have been Alderney, whatever. Must have been some important place. Because why would you put this many star forts on a tiny little island? You know what I'm saying? I think that these star forts have to do with perhaps some transportation system, some energy system. There's a lot of possibilities. But it had nothing to do with war, because what are they protecting here?
And now, O Lord my God, thou hast made thy servant king instead of David my father. And I am but a little child. I know not how to go out or come in. And thy servant is in the midst of thy people, which thou hast chosen, a great people, that cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude. Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this thy so great a people? And the speech pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this thing. And God said unto him, Because thou hast asked this thing, and hast not asked for thyself long life, neither hast asked riches for thyself, nor hast asked the life of thine enemies, but hast asked for thyself understanding to discern judgment. Behold, I have done according to thy words. Lo, I have given thee a wise and an understanding heart, so that there was none like thee before thee, neither after thee shall any arise like unto thee. And I have also given thee that which thou hast not asked, both riches and honor, so that there shall not be any among the kings like unto thee all thy days.
This is so if you want to see another place that has a ton of these in small concentration and close concentration, let's go down to my favorite place to look at these is the Florida Keys. Again, islands, water. So we got two here. Again, right next to an airport. Look at that. Right there, right next to an airport. Fort Zachary Taylor. And this next one is one of the most impressive structures, maybe in the world, that few people even know about. Fort Jefferson in Dry Tortugas National Park. First of all, look at the location. So maybe this was sunken. Maybe this was not submerged. And whatever this place was actually on land. This whole thing was land. That would make a lot more sense, because how did they get the bricks here? So this Star Fort, Fort Jefferson, is the largest brick structure in the Americas. 16 million bricks were used to build this thing. For what? I'm not so sure. Way out in the Florida Keys.
And this is the reason of the levy which King Solomon raised, for to build the house of the Lord, and his own house, and Millo, and the wall of Jerusalem, and Hazor, and Megiddo, and Gezer. For Pharaoh king of Egypt had gone up and taken Gezer, and burnt it with fire, and slain the Canaanites that dwelt in the city, and given it for a present unto his daughter, Solomon's wife. And Solomon built Gezer, and Bethhoron the Nether, and Baalath, and Tadmor in the wilderness, in the land, and all the cities of store that Solomon had, and cities for his chariots, and cities for his horsemen, and that which Solomon desired to build in Jerusalem, and in Lebanon, and in all the land of his dominion.
I'm sorry. So back to airports and how they're near there. This is the closest star fort to where I live. And I've had field trip here as a kid. This is by the Philadelphia International Airport. Okay. We used to have field trips here. When you're flying out, going north, you'll go over this. I mean, it's pretty amazing. Like, these are worldwide. So again, I don't have time to go into all these in this episode. I'm already running over time. But I just want you to know, like, you got to start doing research and opening your eyes and exploring and really seeing things. One of the most famous places in the United States is a star fort.
And it came to pass at the end of 20 years, wherein Solomon had built the house of the Lord and his own house, that the cities which Huram had restored to Solomon, Solomon built them and caused the children of Israel to dwell there. And Solomon went to Hamath Zobah and prevailed against it. And he built Tadmor in the wilderness, and all the store cities which he built in Hamath. Also he built Bethhoron the upper and Bethhoron the nether, fenced cities with walls, gates, and bars. And Baalath, and all the store cities that Solomon had, and all the chariot cities, and the cities of the horsemen, and all that Solomon desired to build in Jerusalem and in Lebanon, and throughout all the land of his dominion.
Okay. This is indication. And when we talk about travel or these may being ports of entry, well, if you know anything about the United States, Ellis Island, this is where a lot of people just showed up around 1900. So I think these star forts, man, I think they have something to do with portals or energy or something that we're not told. Because whatever we are told just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. By the way, in New York, this is called the Battery. So I think it has something to do with the energy system of this whole thing. These are everywhere. I could go on, but I want to cut it here and I will do another video. But we've got a couple more. So here's some in Cuba. 4. Castillo del Morro, Castle of the Moor. Right there on the edge. Castillo de San Salvador de la Punta. Again. Fortaleza de San Carlos de la Cabana. Palacio del Segundo Cabo. Psh, look at this. Look at this moat. I mean, wow. 16th century star-shaped fort and museum. All of these things going up in the 16th century, as if 4 star forts wasn't enough for Cuba. We've got another Castillo del Morro, another Castle of the Moor. Right there. Just fantastic. Oh, look at that. Located next to an airport. So I don't know how many more times I need to show a star fort next to an airport to make that connection. It should be clear by now. How about the island of Hispaniola? So in Haiti, we have a couple forts. We've got Fort Ogué. Middle of nowhere. If you didn't know, Haiti is the poorest nation in the Western Hemisphere today. They weren't always that way. Fort Jacques. Okay. Nice. Looks like it's right there on the side of a mountain. But I think I'll end it on this one. So this is a very interesting structure. One that I could do an entire video on, and I possibly might. But Citadelle Le Ferrier in Haiti. This structure, so it's not exactly a star fort, but it is a fortress, and it does follow a lot of the same design principles. This structure, and this is how I know we're lied to about certain things, or just not given the whole truth. This was said to have been built by former Haitian slaves. Okay. I guess they didn't tell us that the slaves in Haiti were expert masons, transporters of material. You know, they could get all of this brick, stone, and everything to the top of a mountain.
Chapter 22. Then David said, "This is the house of the Lord God, and this is the altar of the burnt offering for Israel." And David commanded to gather together the strangers that were in the land of Israel, And he set masons to hew wrought stones to build the house of God. And David prepared iron in abundance for the nails, for the doors of the gates, and for the joinings, and brass in abundance without weight. Also cedar trees in abundance, for the Zidonians and they of Tyre brought much cedar wood to David.
My closing statements for this episode, I'd like to show you guys this visual. Here's the map of all star forts surrounding Africa. Do you find it a little odd that there are star forts everywhere? I mean, in every country, all over the place. But there isn't one single star fort in the entire area that has been clearly burnt to a crisp for hundreds of thousands of miles in Africa. This is clear destruction. Whether it was on purpose or from the sun or something else, there was without a doubt something traumatic that happened to this earth in this exact location. Also, Australia has a similar resemblance in land coloration. Also, no star forts there. Coincidence? I don't think so. And I also believe this happened very recent, within the last 400 years.
For behold, the Lord will come with fire and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many. They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens behind one tree in the midst, eating swine's flesh and the abomination and the mouse, shall be consumed together, saith the Lord. For I know their works and their thoughts. It shall come that I will gather all nations and tongues, and they shall come and see my glory. And I will set a sign among them, and I will send those that escape of them unto the nations, to Tarshish, Pul, and Lud, that draw the bow, to Tubal and Javan, to the isles afar off, that have not heard my name, neither have seen my glory. And they shall declare my glory among the Gentiles.
Call the Romance languages, all branched off from the great trunk of Latin. There's Italian, Sardinian, Spanish and Portuguese, Dalmatian and Romanian, Catalan and French Provençal, Rito Romance, and if you listen, you'll hear a certain similarity.
Padre, Père, Papa, Tata, Papai. They all do talk something alike.
You might also make a note that we have a conspiracy to get on with. Shall we go?
Oh, yes, that conspiracy to do away with the alphabet. May I ask a question?
What is it?
Why do you want to get rid of the alphabet?
It's language we're after, really. The letters of the alphabet are the building blocks of language.
That's a beautiful statement.
Thank you, Judy.
Very well put, but hardly scientific.
Professional jealousy.
If I wanted to do away with language, what I would go after would be sounds, because sounds are the basis of any language.
Sounds. Make a note of that. I suppose the next thing you're going to say is there's a science of sound.
By request, today I document the old world bells. At one time, they could be found in every city and town. Millions of them were made. Look at how many were collected. Those are bells. That's not AI. It appears they were indeed mass-produced and on an extremely large scale, were they not? Given the sheer numbers of them, I would guess they weren't for summoning the masses to worship. It looks like everyone had a couple of them at their house. Why is that? The old pictures show us scene after scene in which the bells were all gathered up in order to melt them down and beat them into swords, not plowshares. Taking something that perhaps heals the body and turning it into a weapon to kill people with. Imagine that. Right? It's straight up hardcore evil right there. I did a little investigation, and what I found is that the bells were not just haphazardly made. They were perfect in form and size, and the oldest being the finest quality. Go figure that.
Here's a drawing of Von Kempelen's machine when the professor completed it.
I wouldn't even know how to begin to build a talking machine.
What are you doing, Judy?
I'm trying to imagine how the professor figured it all out.
Before a talking machine could be built, the professor had to do a scientific study of just how the human speech mechanism works.
Lungs, vocal cords, mouth, palate, nasal cavities. For speech, you need air. The chest muscles, acting as a bellows, operate to fill our internal bagpipe, the lungs, with air. Next, you need noise. Read from a bagpipe. That will do. Now we build the machine.
The idea is, over time, through a combination of mineralization and catastrophic events, the organic matter of these trees turned to stone, leaving behind stumps and columns that we now interpret as purely geological formations. Geologically speaking, a mesa is a type of landform that looks like a flat-topped hill or small plateau with steep, often cliff-like sides. The word mesa actually comes from Spanish meaning table, because they look like giant tables rising above the landscape. There are several types of mesas, and there are several elements to the geological explanation. But the main idea is that you have layers of rock, isolation, and erosion leaving behind the mesa. Now, the geological explanation for mesas make sense on paper, but when you really scrutinize it, a few flaws, or at least unanswered gaps, start to show up. First, many of them have this uniform flatness. Erosion is usually messy, uneven, and unpredictable. But many mesas and buttes around the world are strikingly flat, almost like they were sliced off with precision.
Thou shalt make them as a fiery oven in the time of thine anger. The Lord shall swallow them up in his wrath, and the fire shall devour them. Their fruit shalt thou destroy from the earth, and their seed from among the children of men. For they intended evil against thee. They imagined a mischievous device which they are not able to perform. Therefore shalt thou make them turn their back, when thou shalt make ready thine arrows upon thy strings against the face of them. Be thou exalted, Lord, in thine own strength. So will we sing and praise thy power.
Second is the scale and distribution. Some of these formations are massive and isolated, rising straight up from the surrounding land. Geologists say these are the remains of larger plateaus, but the question remains, why do so many look almost identical across many different regions of the world? It seems oddly consistent for random erosion processes. Third, if these formations are millions of years old, erosion should have worn them down far more drastically, especially in harsh climates like deserts where wind and sand constantly blast the rock. Their persistence and symmetry over such long time scales raises questions about whether erosion alone is enough to explain them. So now when we look at the ancient tree theory, there's another layer to this when you start looking at myths and legends from cultures around the world. Many of these stories speak of a world tree, a cosmic entity that literally connected heaven, earth, and the underworld.